I disapprove of what you say, and you better not say it because, well, you probably lose your job if you offend, well, anybody, it seems. You can't say anything about anyone anymore. And we're talking about this because William Sitwell, the Waitrose food editor magazine as was, lost his job because of comments that he made about vegans. Not very nice comments, but they were in what he thought was a private email. Let's speak to social commentator, chairman of London-based think tank as well, our friends, Mal Fletcher. Morning, Mal. Thank you very much for coming on. Was it right that he lost his job in this instance, do you think?
Well, David, morning. I think there's a number of issues here, as you just touched upon. At worst, I think it was unwise for someone in a public-facing position within a press organisation to make these kinds of comments, even in jest. I think it's very unwise to be talking about killing anyone, much less doing so in an email to a journalist. But I think the story also demonstrates for me this extreme public sensitivity that's being generated by the reductive viral power of social media today. In years gone by, the story might have occupied a few column inches in some obscure newspaper somewhere. Now it's making the headlines. Because in large part, social media, through the sheer force of repetition and global reach, makes it appear a major influence. I think his comments were unwise, I'm sure he does, but does that preclude the applications of a little bit of tolerance and common sense? I don't think so.
Well, this is what's interesting now, isn't it? We do have this overheated atmosphere in which there is a sense that you can't say, if you have a role in public life or if you've got an important job, then you really have got to be so careful about having an opinion on anything. Freedom of expression is largely dead because there's such a thin line between having an opinion and offence.
Absolutely right. Political correctness, if we remember back in the 90s, started out as a way of encouraging people to be more tolerant of each other in a very diverse population. But today it's morphed into a force of intolerance. It breeds a kind of what I call intellectual fascism, which is where I deny to you a right that I insist on for myself, the right of free speech and belief. The whole concept of identity politics today is dangerous to debate. People go onto the internet to achieve confirmation bias. You know, if you read enough online, you're going to find plenty of people who agree with your views, which in turn strengthens those views. But it's only when I'm willing to respectfully debate ideas with people who don't agree with me that I can create a true tolerance, and that's what's missing in this today.
We need to be careful, don't we, then, is the message here. If you are in public life, you better be careful what you say about anything.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I also think the receiver needs to be careful because we have to remember there's no nuance in social media. And because of its influence in mainstream media today, there's no room for context there either sometimes. So we don't know the overall tone of Mr. Sitwell's email. Was it chatty? Was it informal? And even if we did, you know, and even if his comments were unwise, as I said before, do we need to show a little more common sense in the application of tolerance?
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you. Thanks very much, social commentator Mal Fletcher.